Good, it looks like the setup's actually going to work. I'm Matthew Bernier. I find myself in the position again where I've purchased something that from Michael of the Iron Snail that I don't see well documented on the internet, and so I'm making a video about it. So there's some documentation about it on the internet. Please excuse my voice. I'm recovering from a sinus infection, and I'm still taking giant horse pill antibiotics for it. I'm sure my voice is going to get worse during the course of the video, but I happen to have a spare patch of time where my kiddo and my partner are still out of state, and I have some free time I wouldn't usually have. And I also am not well enough yet to spend it doing some other activities, so I'm taking advantage. I'm also really excited about these. So the thing is, these are the Iron Snail Chapter 1 Version 2 jeans in the 1940's denim. Um, and I'm just adoring them. And I'm really excited about them. And I wanted to talk about why that is. Um, I should mention I don't normally cuff my jeans, but I except when I'm waiting for all of the shrink to go out of them for sure, and then I wait until I'm positive before I have them hemmed. But my preferred look is hem jeans, as you'll see in a moment. But I'm gonna run through a bunch of pants to show you why I'm especially excited about these. So pants journey time, I guess. So these, I guess I also won't have a belt with all of these because I'm not going to make you wait through restringing a belt through every single pair. So these have been my go-to standard jeans. They are actually tailored to me. They're a pair of Levi's that I found in Kohl's, and they were like almost correct. And I was already having some tailoring work done by someone who I'm also, I guess, acquaintances with. Um, and these have been great. They're stretch denim. They're a little clammy when it's humid. Um, and they're just not the most exciting thing, but like they look well and work. And I do have good good movement in them, which is nice. You'll see that that is not the case for a lot of pants for me, which is why I got them. Um, but I've wanted something that's all cotton and a little more exciting. And so, what I used to have before I regained some weight, I gained a lot of weight when I had Lyme disease, managed to lose a bunch of it, and then regained it with COVID. And then I'm still working on it from that point. But these are what I used to wear. These are Dearborn denim. I think this is their tailored fit. And some of my pairs still do mostly fit me. I can still there's a little yanking going on right here. There's a seam getting fresh with me, but like I can still move around in these. But no pun intended, you can see they want to crawl off me a little bit. You know, I start feeling a little self-conscious if I'm doing this kind of stuff, if I see it on film, but also this fit of jean as I've gotten older, especially if I like start putting stuff in these pockets and it's all just kind of telegraphing out, and they've just started making me feel like an old person dressing young. So I've been looking for somewhat wider fits, and you would think, you know, jeans love to advertise, oh, this roomier fit will allow more movement. That hasn't always been the case. One of my first stops was Wranglers, and these are the only Wranglers I could get to fit. I think this is like the 13, what is it, MWZs or whatever. They don't look too bad. But, as you can see, maybe if I do this, at least they're not trying to crawl off my butt. But they're kind of walking around jeans. They don't really move for me that well, and the rodeo style's even worse. Like or the cowboy cut are even worse for me. So, well, those worked as a pair of pants. They just never quite worked as jeans. I did try some of Dearborn's other cuts. This is their attempt at a relaxed fit. One moment. This is their attempt at a relaxed fit. It's unexciting. It also I really have to hike them up about, how far am I hiking those up? Hold on. Yeah, I have to hike them up a couple inches at least to be able to get leg movement out of them. They're just not my favorite. They're also like, in spite of them being a relaxed fit, there's some Pixar mom butt going on that I'm not the biggest fan of. I like the weight, if it's going to be anywhere, to be on the bottom and not on the hips. So those didn't work out. Haven't had the heart to get rid of them yet, but they really didn't work out. This was one of their straight leg fit 100% cotton pairs. And maybe if I, no, there's not a lot of room to hike them here. Yeah, no, not working out there. And the trouble for me, as someone with a bubbly butt, a 46-inch actual waist, and a 48-inch actual waist, and a 38-inch hips, is a lot of stuff that will fit on my hips won't, which is where people really wear their jeans these days, won't allow butt movement. And something that does have big enough butt rise is just going to be clownish. These are a pair of Dickies. They're like work Dickies that I got at Walmart, and I thought, oh yeah, these, well, they're work pants. They must have like some openness, some mobility. And by far the worst butt situation. Like they want to pull themselves off. And there's some 70s action going on here. I'm not digging that. Not really what I'm about. So lots of lack of successes. This isn't even all of them. So then I was watching very carefully for what the dimensions would be for Michael's jeans, with no particular hopes or expectations in my head because of how pants usually go for me. But his measurements weren't too far off of these, especially where it mattered. And I asked him in his, hey, ask me anything that you want for the jeans coming up. I said, can you please put in a back rise as well as a front rise? Because for someone like me, where there's like a shelf here and kind of a shelf here, this ratio matters a lot. And he did, and they measured pretty darn close. So it's like, all right, let's see what happens. So I would only be on my first soak, but of course, you know, you put on new jeans after your first soak, you immediately get sauce on them. So this is now second soak. And actually, more shrink came out of the length with the second soak. So I can start talking about these more specifically. So these, the first, before I soaked them, the length was hilarious. I had 6 inches of cuff. And, but I knew to expect that. I knew they'd shrink lengthwise, even though they're Sanfordized. And, the fit to them was just like navy pantaloons from the Dutch Navy or something. Like the very funny looking. But I knew that would go. I knew that there would be snugging and tightening with a first soak. I chose to do my first soak, even though I actually thought they were going to be shrinkier. I didn't realize they were Sanfordized, but I did a hot bathtub soak to get some of my form into them, and then spot shrunk certain areas, like right above my butt in the top block, right under the waist where I would normally have jeans tailored. I used a hair dryer to spot shrink certain areas, this seam and under the crotch, a few other places. And I must say the results were very good right off the bat. There's photos on Reddit after the first soak. And that shrank down to, the cuff shrank down to 3 inches. It is now at 2 inches, which is perfect because I take a 28-inch inseam. I ordered these 30 because you couldn't order a 28. And these are now the length they're supposed to be. These are now 30 inches in the inseam, so that's pretty cool. Good job. But I've really come to love these in photographs. I got a haircut shortly before this video, and my head felt really weird and the wrong size, the way that it does when you get a lot of hair cut off. It had been longer than I had hoped for till I got a haircut, and then the reduction made my head feel funny. It looks fine now, but it didn't for like 3 days. That's kind of how putting these on has been. I've really come to love these in photographs. When I look down at them, it feels like too much fabric. I would encourage anybody who feels that way about a fit like this, maybe try it before, for like a bit, before you cast a judgment on how that works for you. Because I find this shape really dynamic. I think they look great and catch and cast all kinds of really lovely forms as I move and turn around. They move really easily. They match my tailored jeans measurements really nicely. This is, they're you know, they're sitting, but they're not pinching. They're not trying to get to fourth base with me. They're not heading north. This seam, the rear seam, perfect, not pinching. Check it out. No attempts to expose me. The back rise, the ratio of back rise to front rise on these is just really, really good. No webbing. I didn't show you on one of those pairs of jeans. If I try to do this, like I get a webbing at like this level that like stops my movement and just gives me Spider-Man crotch. It's terrible. But also like these wear temperature-wise both cool and warm because they are very thick fabric, but they're away from my skin, and they're very breathable fabric in the sense of, I don't know, I find the elastic stuff always just feels really hot and stuffy and warm. But these have a lovely air cushion in that, and in the cold, the wind doesn't get through the fabric, and in the warmth, they don't the sun doesn't directly transmit to my skin in the same way. So I'm really enjoying them so far. Outside of the fit and the movement, like I just like the way the denim like breaks and wrinkles and moves. They remind me of when I used to get shrink to fit Levi's 501s, which you can't get anymore. But these remind me a lot to those. These are not shrink to fit. Again, I was mistaken about that. They're just raw selvage. They do have some shrink to them, but not as much as Levi's would have. But they kind of remind me of them. They're giving me a little bit of a sense memory in that sense. One fun thing when I was soaking these, the bath water turned a greenish blue instead of like a blue. And I was like, oh, that's right. That's the exact green I've seen of like indigo before it fully oxidizes. And I thought that was just a fun reminder that these are very much like indigo dyed jeans. These also, when they're wet, they smell of cotton fiber more than any pants I've ever had before. I can't smell it now because they're fully dry, but when they're even a little wet, instead of like wool where you can smell the sheep sometimes, you can smell cotton fiber, and I've never smelled cotton fiber before. And that's really fun. These also have the most beautiful patch. Here, let me try to show it to you. There's lots of photographs online, but oh my god, is it beautiful. It's a stamped Wicket and Craig leather patch that apparently this one was missing a back stitch, and I immediately ripped it when I tried threading my belt through it. I don't think I prefer having my belt threaded through it, though. Oh yeah, this isn't going to show up well on camera at all. No, this is not the camera to get this at all, I'm afraid, but it's so beautiful in person. I absolutely love it. Mike also did some fancy moleskin for the pocket bags. Those feel really nice. They, the pocket bags interact with your skin, and I don't think I ever realized how much until I had like very pleasant feeling pocket bags on my skin. But I just love these. I don't feel like I'm trying to dress like a younger man in these, which is nice. I do feel like I can move like a younger man than in some of my other pants just because of how much I can't do the splits, but like I've got all the movement I ever possibly could have. It's great. So I want more pairs of these. Like these are going to be, I'm going to stockpile these when these come into greater quantities of stock, which is Mike's plan. Just really digging them. If he ever makes a 37 versus a 38, that might fit like very slightly better, but oh boy, I'm enjoying these. These do fit well enough. Here, I'll take the belt off a second. The top block is just sitting on me. It's not snug, but like they don't want to fall off. And even if I really try to make it happen, they don't want to go past my hips, which is just about right. Like I say, could I come down an inch maybe? Maybe? And I think I'd still have plenty of room for moving around in the same way, with maybe just a slightly snugger leg profile. But I'm still very happy with them. And like I say, the more I see them on camera, the more I really kind of fall in love with them, because they just make everything my legs do look better and more dynamic on film. And because I don't feel like I look like I'm cosplaying a much younger man. One second, I'm going to show you those crotch web jeans just so that's not abstract, because those were terrible. Let's see, I believe those are the Dearborn Relaxed Fits, which are this pair, yeah. Yeah, there's so much room. Ugh, not a big fan. Just being pulled and restricted every which way. I also really missed, I'll spare you this as a visual detail, but I really missed having a button fly. I love how they feel. I also don't mind that they don't have the tenting issue, but I actually just really like the way that they move. I love the feel of a button fly. I'm so glad these have one. I missed that about 501s. So yeah, like I say, I haven't seen a lot of people talking about these, and I'm really enjoying them. Maybe someone else will enjoy them. So there they are, the Chapter 1, Version 2, 1940s denim Iron Snail jeans.